We turn our attention now to tonight's upcoming HBO World Championship boxing doubleheader taking place here in Sacramento. Two former heavyweight champions, Lennox Lewis and Michael Moorer, return to the ring. It happened in just 6 weeks, the shortest time window ever in which two have changed hands. It began with Oliver McCall, a fighter whose greatest identity was as a one-time sparring partner for Mike Tyson. In less than 2 rounds, he would become more known as the man who lifted a heavyweight crown from British champion Lennox Lewis. Down goes Lewis, and he caught a short left hand inside. 6, 7, 8, 9. It ended with a 45-year-old former champion. After 9 rounds, George Foreman trailed on all 3 judges' scorecards. But in the 10th round, Michael Moorer discovered his first title defense might also be his last. Goes Moorer on a right hand. An unbelievably close-in right hand shot. It happened. It happened. Tonight, 2 fallen heavyweight champions make their first returns to the ring. Earlier, Larry Merchant spoke with Lennox Lewis and Michael Moorer about rebounding from knockout losses.
Both of you were extraordinarily successful until last fall. Michael, you had won a light heavyweight and the heavyweight championship. You, Lennox, had won the gold medal and the heavyweight championship. What was the most difficult part of losing the first time as professionals, your championships?
The most difficult part would probably be just losing, you know, having to deal with that. You know, going through your professional boxing career, being successful, and then all of a sudden you just lose that one fight. Just the fact that you have to deal with that loss, I think, would probably be the most difficult part.
Lennox?
For myself, you know, winning and losing comes hand in hand. I look at it, and for me, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulder to a certain degree, and now it just made me not superhuman, just normal.
What did you do to deal with it? And how anxious were you to get back and do what you've always done?
Well, I've always wanted to do it. I never looked at a loss being the end of my career. The way that I am, I says to myself that boxing is a sport where there's a winner and a loser. You know, unfortunately, you can't win them all. And that's the way I looked at my whole career. There was one day that I knew that I would lose because I never claimed to be invincible.
What does it mean to you now to finally get back in the ring, to find out if you can do what you always did and do it as well?
Well, I know that I can do it. Just because you lose a fight doesn't mean it changed your whole outlook on boxing, yourself, your personal self. Just like Lennox says, that it was like a burden lifted off your shoulders. And in a way, that's what it was.
Lennox, you've made more changes than Michael since coming back. You've changed trainers. What have you gone through?
Well, mentally, I didn't really go through too much. Basically, I just went away for a while, and I basically looked at, you know, things that are going to bring Lennox Lewis back on top. And if it was changing the trainers, bringing in a different trainer that I feel that will give me, Lennox Lewis, an asset, I did.
Lionel Butler has a reputation as a very big puncher, very tough guy. You're coming off of a knockout. Some people are saying, why would you go up against another guy who can punch?
Well, I realized that in my last fight, I was a bit careless and I committed myself a bit too early. And my opponent was able to take advantage of that. For this fight, I realized that, you know, the man is a big puncher, and I want to get right back into the mix of things. I don't want to start at the bottom and work my way up again. I want to start right back at the top because I feel I have the talent, and the talent never left me.
How do you see the fight going tonight?
I see it's going to be a very interesting fight. You know, he can only do one thing, and that's come right after me. But I'm going to show what kind of boxing talent I have and just go out there and deal with the case.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
It's coming up in a matter of hours right here on HBO. Larry, a capsule comment on the significance of tonight's doubleheader.
You never know how a fighter is going to deal with his first loss. You never know how a fighter is going to deal with his first knockout. You never know how a fighter is going to deal with losing a championship. These guys lost all three at once, and you never know how they're going to respond. No matter how optimistic they are, something happens to some fighters after that first setback, and so we're here to see how they look, and especially Lennox Lewis, because he's up against a much more formidable opponent.
And part of the attraction tonight, the man who handed Michael Moorer his first defeat, George Foreman, will be back working with us at ringside. George, in the eyes of many, you exposed Moorer's tragic flaw, his chin. What can he do to get better in that category?
The one thing I knew that Michael Moorer didn't know, that I could lose. And now Michael Moorer has that same wisdom. Not only will he give it, but at the same time, he's going to have a bit of reluctancy that may enable him to be a better winner now. He was undefeated beforehand. Things have changed. He's going to have to box with his mind, too. And I think he should be a better fighter because of it.
Oliver McCall was trained to his victory over Lennox Lewis by Emmanuel Stewart. Now Stewart switches corners and trains Lewis. What can he do with Lennox?
I think just add a little confidence, but basically Lennox Lewis has always been a good puncher, a good boxer, and if he just go back within himself and recapture that original amateur greatness, this guy can become one of the best fighters of all time also. So good things can happen. I mean, it's going to be some great fights tonight.
And it's great to have you back, big man. So once again, a reminder, it's coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific here on HBO. Michael Moorer taking on late entry Melvin Foster. And after that, Lennox Lewis starts his comeback by fighting Lionel Butler. We'll be coming to you live from Sacramento here in the Arco Arena tonight. Later this month,